Okay, thank you, Natasha. Aloha, everyone. Today is not Aloha Friday, but today is Aloha Wednesday. This is the Committee on Water and Land on its agenda for Wednesday, March 6th, and we're in room 229. We have two nominees that we need to move out, committee members, but let's do some housekeeping first. Just to let you know that for those testifiers, we'll ask, actually, we have a good agenda. I won't ask you to do your testimonies in a minute. And I feel free, you are able to, and we want you to also say why you are supporting a person. Don't have to stand on your testimony, but you can and add to it, just to let you know. And for those out there on Zoom land as well, the contact of this hearing can be found on the legislature's website. The live video stream and archive of the hearing is on the Senate YouTube channel as well. We will be making decision on this agenda item today. So members, let's proceed with Governor's message 603, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation as the Director, Office of Planning and Sustainable Development, GM Mary Ellis Evans, for a term to expire December 31st, 2026. Office of the Governor, Blake Oshiro, or a representative, but we have many that's here before us, sends testimony, of course, in support. DBED, and we have communication from Dennis Ling, of course, Department of Health, sends communication in support, and we have several of our administration that are here in person as well. HFDC, Dean Minakami sends communication in support. And I do believe Chung Chang is here from Hawai'i Broadband and Digital Equity Office. Chair. Aloha. Thanks, Chung Chang.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Center for Village, I stand in strong support of the nominee.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And of course, we do have DBED, R&D, Eugene Tian sends communication in support. Foreign Trade Zone, I see David thinking.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Pavella, I stand on my testimony in strong support.
Okay, thank you, mahalo. And of course, when Yamamoto Lau, always here in support of someone, but very active, Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority.
When Yamamoto Lau, Hawaii Green Infrastructure Authority, also stand in on my listening testimony in strong support, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with Mary Alice.
Thank you. Okay, DBED, Lewis, Salaveria. Come on up. Yes, BNF. We would love to have, and I urge those, come on and be available to speak.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator, thank you, Luis Oliveira, Director of Finance. And you have my testimony, but really I wanted to say a few words.
Sure.
They always say you never forget your first, and Mary Alice was my first deputy. And for 4 years, she was my right hand at the Department of Business Economic Development, and I couldn't have asked for a better partner during those years. Everything that I needed to do, we were always in sync. She was such a great deputy for me, and I can't even begin to. For me, during a period when it was my first time as a director, to have the kind of experience that Mary Alice had, to have the institutional knowledge that she had at the department, nonetheless. I mean, it helped me tremendously grow as a director during my time at DBED. So I can't advocate enough for Mary Alice in this particular role, and I strongly support Mary Alice for the position. And happy to answer any questions, but you cannot go wrong with Mary Alice as the director of OPSD.
Thank you so much, Director. Appreciate that. Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, Jade Butai sends communication in support as well. And I see Wendy Getty here with ADC. Aloha, thanks for being available today.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, Senators, Wendy Gady, the Agribusiness Development Corp. We stand in strong support, but I wanted to add, the definition of servant is to be helpful. And one of the really unique gifts that Mary Alice has is to be resourceful and take very complicated and sometimes very difficult to hear information and dilute it in a way that individuals can receive it and not feel offended, and they don't ask any questions. So it saves the state a lot of money. I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you so much for being available as well. Thank you. Also in support, our friends from NELHA, Greg Barber, Tommy, I see Tommy Johnson here. Aloha, Department of Corrections. Good seeing you.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair,
afternoon.
and members of the committee. I'm Tommy Johnson, the Director of the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I come in person because I looked at this person's work history and I wanted to get it on record because it is amazing. So I'm here to support the nomination and confirmation of Mary Alice Evans as the Director of the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. Ms. Evans has a diverse and wide-reaching work background that spans almost 50 years. Ms. Evans' vast knowledge includes working in 2 different previous governor's offices and with the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, Deputy Director and Interim Director for the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, Deputy Comptroller and Interim Comptroller, previous Director of Office of Planning and Sustainable Development from 2019 to 2022, and now serves as Interim Director for the same agency. She clearly possesses the prerequisite knowledge, home leadership, and managerial skills and interpersonal skills required of such a complex and far-reaching position. I strongly urge this committee to recommend, advise, and consent on this highly qualified nominee. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of Governor's Message 603 and Ms. Evans.
Mahalo, Tommy. Thanks for being here as well. I see our DBED Director walked in. And we just want to make sure that you do your morning duty and welcome along to our friendly committee here as well.
Kalamai for being late. I was in another hearing that I had to attend. So thank you.
We were waiting for you. Okay.
Oh, now I'm embarrassed. Thank you, Senator and Chair and members. I'm very proud to sit here today in support of the nominee. And I know you have my written testimony, but I just wanted to say a few words on her behalf because I've known Mary Alice for many years. But as DBED Director, I got to work with her firsthand and to see the work that she puts in, the follow through, how her team really appreciates the work that she does with them. And that's a good gauge of a manager when, her direct employees support her and speak nothing but highly of her. I've seen it from the day I started. We worked also very, very hard on the Maui wildfires when, planning was critical. And the thing that I appreciate and respect most about Mary Alice is that you don't have to initiate a conversation for her to jump into action. When I first got to DBED, the SEDS report that was due last year that Mary Alice and her team completed, she wanted to make sure that I was up on it so that I could explain it to the rest of the counties and how we would tie that into our moving the needle forward in the presentations that we've had. And, every step along the way, she's one step ahead and always helping myself and Deputy Wicker and the entire team at DBED. So I cannot say enough about Mary Alice, and I just wanted to make sure that I shared that with all of you today.
Appreciate you taking time to be here
Aloha.
as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Leah Laramie that did send communication in support representing the Hawaii Climate Change Commission. Department of Ag also sends communication in support. To add with budget and finance, of course, number 2, Sabrina did send communication and support as well. DOT, it's NIFN, DAGS as well, Keith Reagan. We have Department of R&D from the County of Hawaii, Doug Adams sends communication and support. HTDC also sends, Wayne, you're here?
Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Wayne Inoue, Hawaii Technology Development Corporation. We stand on our testimony in very strong support of Mary Alice. During over our years as HTDC has evolved, Mary Alice has been a very instrumental person, a mentor for me as well to really help personally growth in the state system, but also supporting HTDC as well. So thank you very much for your help and very strong support of her now.
Thank you,
Thank
you, Wayne, as well. PUC, Leo, as well, you walked over here and offer an opportunity to speak to our committee today. Mahalo.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, Leo Asuncion. I'm actually here in my personal capacity, not representing the PUC, in support of Mary Alice Evans and her nomination to be the director of OPSD. I've known Mary Alice, and I'm going to date myself for
We're all
almost.
dating ourselves.
Wait till I talk about Ben.
Yeah, me too, Ben, yeah, 50 years I've known Ben.
I've known Mary Alice for about 30 years now. Have worked with her. I consider her a very trusted colleague and a friend. I think, you have my written testimony and all the accolades that I have bestowed upon her in that testimony. But I would like to add, I've had an opportunity as a planner, to work with a number of OP directors over the years, over the decades. And I will submit to you that I think Mary Alice is the most qualified out of all of those. And that includes me. At one time, I was the planning director. But I think, you look at Mary Alice's achievements, her resume, the things that she has done over the years, I think she is the most qualified of all the directors that I've seen come through OPSD. So I would like to echo what Director Salaveria said. I think you can't go wrong having Mary Alice at the helm of OPSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your presence as well. Also sending in testimony is Brian Miyamoto from the Hawaii Farm Bureau, Jesse Suki as an individual, as well as Dexter Kishida, Mary Lou Kobayashi, who we all know is probably in retirement, but we all miss her as well as a former employee. I think she worked for planning OPSD, right, for some time. A Mason, didn't leave his last name, since support, Lauren Primiano, Kate Piltz, I assume that's Karen Piltz, I believe, Don Hager Nordblom, Robin Kay, Janet Ashman, and Pua Thom sends communication in support. All right, members, we have an opportunity to speak to our nominee and have her come up, GM 603. Oh, please, anyone else wishes to speak on behalf of our nominee? Aloha.
Aloha, Senators. It's kind of unusual since I'm up next, but so I wanted to join the bandwagon. My name is Benjamin Kudo, and I'm a lawyer, and I've known Mary Alice for a little over 40 years. And what I like about Mary is that she is very intelligent. She's very, what I call wise, a wise person who, when you hear problems that my clients have, when we meet with her, she's able to try to look for a solution. She's not judgmental, and she's a doer. Although she's a thinker, she's also a doer. But the quality that I really appreciate about Mary Alice is she's a kind person, and I really like her as an individual and as a friend. So I speak very highly of her because she deserves it, and I totally endorse her for this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. That's good to have you say that as one of the only outsider, as a private sector person as well. Appreciate your comments. Anyone else? IT, anyone on Zoom that is watching this? Would like to speak?
No one's present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, Dominique? Aloha.
Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, members. Thank you. And thank you all for meeting with me. I really appreciate that. I'm getting over a cold, so I might sound a little froggy, but I still can talk. I'm very appreciative you're considering this nomination. There's a lot of work to be done, stuff that I want to work on, and I regard the legislature as my board of directors. So your input to me is something that's very important. This, I think, has been said before. This office was created by the legislature, and it's actually, when you give us projects, that's that marrying up of your knowing what your constituents are concerned and worried about and want to get some progress on. That's very important to me.
We appreciate that, and we also thank you for all of the work that you have done for the state as well. And like many of those that testified earlier, in all my life as well, outside of being a senator back in my first 10 years in the early 1998, before I left, came back and had a reunion again with Mary Alice, and knowing that one with very much historical backgrounds that we all know of her work before, but also for me to come back and chair Water and Land again and working with planning. We've had relationship with the good work that we do. Now, oftentimes, I think Mary Alice's ears, and probably Leo when he was in planning as well, I'm one that always look for the good of the state and the future, particularly when this Hawaii State Plan was adopted. I was on the commission then under when Governor Ariyoshi created this policy group. But oftentimes, and I think my colleagues also have seen measures come and go with regards to legislation. And I think there's a lot of things that we do as well is kind of like piecemeal, but hopefully that we can get a direction as to seeing what the overall Hawaii State Plan should look like, and those that has not been updated for some umpteen years, that hopefully it's back on your shoulders again. I'm sure there's already some that's in the hopper. Can you tell us what's pending or that we've already asked, for some assistance? But there are in some areas that I think our committee would like to know what has not been moving that we should kind of be updated.
Now
It's a mouthful, but
yes.
just sharing something of our thoughts.
So some of the functional plans have been updated recently. The Hawaii State Plan has had some really important amendments to add climate change and sustainability
Right.
to it. But overall, it hasn't had an update. Leo, when he was the director of the Office of Planning, did a phase 1 study that recommended that the state plan have a comprehensive overview. And that's something that's a big undertaking because you have to get input. It can't be done in a cubicle, with one person.
So should we look at the functional plans first to see if it's been updated? I think, how many do we have, 12? 12 functional plans, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, so housing's been updated recently. I think there was a move to try to get energy updated. And I have to say the Hawaii State Energy Office has moved quickly to do strategic planning for renewable energy. So there's the elements of update for the energy functional plan is there, a lot of them are already there. So that wouldn't be as heavy a lift, I think.
Okay, all right, members of the committee. Senator Elefante.
Yes, thank you, Director Evans, and thank you for your willingness to step up into this role and hearing from a lot of the accolades from your supporters. I grasp that, you have that experience and knowledge to really lead this department, and thank you for making the time to meet with me. The only question that I have is having to do around transit-oriented development.
Yeah.
I know your agency is tasked with looking at plans, whether it's infrastructure or housing or state availability in terms of inventory near or around transit stations. I'm just curious to know, what your thoughts of that as you look and advocate for future lands in TOD areas.
Thank you, Senator. Well, this is a partnership. So I co-chair it with the HHFDC. And when we have our meetings, there's over 50 participants from state and county agencies on the monthly meetings. None of the TOD stuff could be done by one agency. It's all about working together. The legislature has been instrumental in giving us, a small CIP each year, which we use as a carrot. And it's a way to get that partnership for each of the counties have all designated areas. Well, of course, Oahu is way ahead in some ways, but the neighbor islands have designated either bus hubs, transit corridors, areas that they think there's going to be transit choices and they need some more densification of affordable housing with mixed use. That, not housing by itself, but housing with transit choices and services. And so I think we're making some progress. As you know, we identified lack of infrastructure capacity as this was a joint effort holding back housing. So we've been saying infrastructure unlocks housing. And we know that the counties have some of those critical areas. Both of you know, because you've served on the county council, that there's a limit to some of the bonding capacity, especially for wastewater and water, and that, they have some very long-range plans. Some of the wastewater transmission lines that we need on Oahu are planned for 2040 because they can't bond fund them, before that. So it's going to be a long-term kind of thing, but maybe we can help and try to move some of those up. So I'm 100% committed. We need housing. Housing's critical. And TOD areas are a good place to put local housing. They're not the kind of places usually that, would attract external investors. It's more likely that this is the kind of housing that our local families can live in.
Thank you, Director Evans. Thank you, Chair.
Any further questions? Yeah, Senator Chang,
Thank you very much,
our
Madam Chair.
Chair of Housing.
Yes.
Good subject for him as well. Any further discussions? With the task that has been, are you gonna?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, I'm waiting.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Thanks for the
And then
opportunity.
Followed by Senator Favela.
I do plan to ask about housing, so
Good,
you
good.
hit the nail on the head, Chair. This administration has shown a willingness to swing for the fences with things like the Building Beyond Barriers Working Group,
Yes.
with the emergency proclamations.
Yes.
I think by now it's clear that the most promising efforts on the table to generate thousands of new units that are so desperately needed statewide is the HPHA 10,000 unit RFQ. That is the only proposal on the table today that has the potential to generate units, even by its own, proponents, to build units in the thousands and not in the hundreds. What can your office do to scale that up even further and ensure that this is not the only such effort of its kind in the administration?
We've entered into memorandums of agreement with HPHA to give them funding for the planning. I will note that the projects that will generate the most units are ones for mixed income. They aren't for 30% AMI and below. They have a mix of incomes because when we have to have the private sector build those kinds of projects. They're beyond our capacity in the state. And to not have to subsidize every unit, which we don't have at HHFDC, the capacity to do the volumes that, Senator, you're looking for. We have to have a mix of incomes, and that's actually better for communities. So what we're helping HPHA do is look for the infrastructure barriers that a private sector developer would be reluctant to step up and offer to fund, because it may make the project that they are able to do not pencil out. So we're taking on that effort of figuring out where those barriers are. Our theory is that projects would be built if they could have been built economically by the private sector. And so what we're doing is making state land available through other agencies, because that reduces land cost. And then infrastructure cost, if there's public bond funding helping with that, then that may unlock more units faster, which I know is your goal and our goal. So our role is kind of at the front end. We don't do construction, but we do help with the planning part that identifies how we can get things done faster.
One more question,
Sure.
if you don't mind. As you know, the state is the largest landowner along the rail line that's currently under construction. In your opinion, are there any state-owned parcels along that rail line for which the highest and best use is not high-density housing?
I haven't thought about that one, Senator. I'd have to get back to you on that. Obviously, there's a need for higher education at West Oahu College, but we see that they got a lot of land years ago, and I see them starting to move now to build more than just the classroom and college campus. I see them finally accepting that maybe student and faculty housing might be a part of their village concept. So I think it's a combination of higher education and housing and commercial and mixed use there. I'd have to think about if there are any state lands that shouldn't be. Well, obviously the Kalailoa Airport has several runways. I don't think that's going to be where you're going to put housing, or at least not on the runway. But maybe that sounds like a facile answer. I'd have to get back to you on that.
But that's interesting to add on, because when you think about it, along the rail lines, even as it continues to move towards East Honolulu, you really don't have much, particularly in your areas as well. But the areas west Oahu as well, and near the community college, I can see, you know, that area is developed, as you did say, because if you look at West Oahu campus, and on, I guess, I'm not sure if that would be the north side of it or the back side of it, there's quite a bit of land area. But with the question that Senator Chang talked about, the housing issue, one thing that has always bothered me in planning, and as a former planning commissioner on Hawaii County and the rest of the roles I played there as well, and it seems like at this point in time with the demand for housing, it seems like the questions that we put to us, this body, the legislature, is how do we know at this point in time, because of the demand, how do we look at the process of the impact of the EIS or the EA's environmental assessments, you know, what our role is, or how can we help with some of the regulations and the non-support coming out of SHPD to some of the developments that would occur. And I'm not sure, I think Senator Chang, you've heard this all the time, and even before us, when we have, we're trying to assist in the development of housing, what role can we, or how can we work with SHPD and some of your, and an opinion if you have, to perhaps move faster on the EIS or the EA regulation, and if there's an opportunity to make some changes if we need to. And we can also probably, if we have to do legislation, but put a sunset on it again, because perhaps by the time we have housing in place throughout the state, then perhaps we should then consider again restricting or moving along with restrictions with regards to the EIS and the EAs.
Let me start with SHPD. So there's a bill moving that's supported by Dr. Downer and DLNR that would change the definition of historical for for residences from 50 years to 100. I support that because.
And I think you did when we had the hearings, so
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that.
Because.
And move along, yeah.
I think that'll help with SHPD's bottleneck. They've got a lot of, subdivisions that were built, before 1984 74, that really aren't, have, historical characteristics. And having, anybody who wants to redevelop a home built, say in 73, go through an archaeological review just doesn't make sense to me. And the bill protects anything that's on the historical register. So I like that one. I think that'll help.
And the timing is good for that measure to be
Good.
moving
Well,
along.
we'll see
and
what.
Hopefully that you guys can also assist us in making sure that there's a follow-up and that things move over when it gets to the House. Did the House bill pass as well? Did they hear that bill or just the Senate version?
I'll have to check.
Okay.
Yeah, but.
If you can
yeah,
get that back to us.
And then on EISs and EAs, the former Office of Environmental Quality Control, which is now in our office, when they adopted rules in August 2019, they made affordable housing projects in the state urban district in county zoned areas for housing an exemption from an EA. And I think developers of affordable housing are just kind of getting familiar with that. And that, I support that too. I mean, it's an opportunity to get more housing, more affordable housing into areas that the counties have decided is good for housing. So now there'll be oppositions if you want to do,
Sure.
A 6-story high-rise in a 2-story single home area. So, and the counties will, because they issue the permits, they will hear about those. But if it's appropriate for the area and the community is in support, then not having to do an EA for those particular types of developments makes sense to me.
Okay. Senator Favela, can I just finish one comment or one question for her? One stickling point that has come through this, not only this session, but a session before as well, and many before that. And I've always been a proponent of the ability to have the counties increase their application process or rezoning. As we all know, the counties can do their own development areas in areas of 15 acres or less.
Right.
Land Use Commission has been in opposition for quite some time. So with that said, and I know I had a bill, and I think it's probably this year as well, still at 100 acres. However, things can be changed as well. If there's agreements with communities throughout the state to drop it down to 50 or even 25 acres, to me, I think it's better. Then at least the counties can start doing their own developments rather than depend on the state, to move forward. The counties can do it in a quickly, faster manner. Your thoughts? And I know it's kind of interesting because you got the Office of Planning and then you got Land Use Commission, but then it seems like there's not a quite balance because there's the autonomy of the Land Use Commission. And so how can we all work together to see if we can compromise or make some decisions that, if there's a support coming out of your office and to allow the benefits of the counties, that they can give them the authority to increase their developments and the acreage that they have. And every year it comes up.
Yeah. So the Office of Planning, starting with Leo, did a periodic review of districts. We hadn't done one for a long time, but we initiated it, got it going, and we delivered it to the legislature, I think in the start of the 2023 session or the 2020, that one. We looked at the question of whether the counties should be able to do district boundary amendments for larger amounts for areas that were consistent with their community plans, their development plans, and their general plan. So that's all part of the State Planning Act. And they have an important role there. They've developed that well. They get a lot of public input before they adopt a community development plan. So we found that there was a need to give the counties more authority there. Now, I will say the Land Use Commission is a contested case hearing process, and we have policy autonomy. They have policy autonomy. So they don't have to take our recommendations on different approaches to planning, to allocating land for the best uses that it's suited for. So you may find that they do take a different opinion. That's fine. And you might find that we take a different opinion. And we feel that that's, with policy autonomy, that's good. You get input from a variety of perspectives.
Okay, hopefully we can
Wait, Senator Favela's.
do something as soon as possible. Senator Favela.
How much hours we have? First of all, I just wanted to tell you, thank you for coming by, and I got to talk to you. I've seen you around for a while and got to know you a little bit better. Just like everybody said before me, I totally was blown away, got to speak with you, got to pick your many years of experience of your brain and going forward. So I'm just gonna go with what I have over here since my staff took the time to write it out. Okay, just the need of including the need for a waste to energy solution to the address to Opala on the significance of the reducing for landfill on the 4 major islands with your 40, I'm not gonna go to 40, they put it there, wasn't me, so, Skotesha. With your over 40 years of city and state government of experience, what do you believe we should be doing to address the need for landfills like most recently on Maui?
Thank you, Senator. And by the way, it's closer to 50.
Oh,
Thank you for your diplomacy. Yes, I'm a strong proponent of waste-to-energy projects. They reduce the, what's going into our solid municipal waste stream. They reduce what's going to landfills, reduce the need to find new landfills, make what goes into the landfill less likely to generate methane, which is a greenhouse gas that we want to reduce dramatically for climate change. So I would love to see all 4 counties, actually all the islands, have a waste-to-energy project. I think they're expensive up front. There's a capital cost. But the private sector, if there's enough volume, and I think both our senators who are former county council members on Oahu know that volume is important there. But it'll make it, I think, this is where Hawaii has to go. We're geographically isolated. No longer do we have buyers for for a lot of our recyclable products, so that and counties really can't afford to take on selling recycle or shipping recyclables out. So I'm thinking of plastics. They burn very nicely and turn into energy. If we can scrub out the stacks so that what we're emitting is low carbon and no toxics, then I think that's what we need to do for the future. And by the way, thank you for sharing your proposal with me. I was impressed with it.
Thank you. And I thank you for that, because my colleagues here, they loved it too. It didn't go any place the other side, I don't want to say where, but it really went fast here because we think outside the box here, and exactly what you said is needed. And when I was told about the cities not being able to get the volume, you know why? They restrict what they can take at H power now. The volume would be humongous, if that's a word, going forward, because we on our side of the island, on the west side, we have almost 40 to 60,000 tires in our community. They cannot be taken anywhere because the convenience centers don't take it anymore. They don't burn box springs, they don't burn a lot of things that they told us that H power was gonna do. The one that I proposed to you, the one that my colleagues had supported when I introduced the waste to energy bill, is 0 to no CO2 or toxin emission. And you're 100% right, the plastic bottles, even we can recycle and ship it, that's one of the highest volume of heat if you actually use it for energy. And it is true that we should be using these things, including our green waste, not having green waste, taking them to whatever, but exactly right. So I just get one more follow-up. And I already said this, but I'm gonna say them again. Well, I'm working with my colleagues on planning to have a state-wide energy development plan to a waste to energy solution. Currently these issues for landfill is dividing our people. Would be willing to work with us, would you be willing to work to us to address our landfill issues? Because the reason why I say that is because the 7, maybe 8, maybe 7, I'm not sure, maybe my colleagues from the council would know more, but I think out of the 8, 6 of them was in my district, from Ever Beach to Makaha, and that's not suitable for us. And I know at the time, one of the chairs of the council didn't agree to take it to Amaran, Crater that we talked about. That would be out of the way, no place in kind. But why should we divide the communities? because you're gonna take 4 years to look for a landfill. Gonna take another 4 years to probably get it passed. This energy waste that I brought to my colleagues would take less than 4 years to build if we get the land approval and the funding on any of the neighbor islands. So that's why I figured I bring this to you, because you had the experience and you shared a lot with me, and I really thank you for that. But we gotta stop thinking outside the box and start looking into a viable, firm energy, waste to energy plant. And I thank you for that. If you can work with us and try to find.
I think the counties will be happy too. At least there's some guidance for them as well.
Yeah, we brought that up to the mayor.
Oh,
But anyway,
okay. All right.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, well, you got some work that you're being asked to do.
yeah, thank you very much.
Okay, is there any other questions for the nominee? Otherwise, thank you so much, and we'll be hearing the next GM, and we'll be making decisions as well. Let's proceed then with the GM 627, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority, GM Benjamin Kudo, for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. We do have communications for this nominee, Ben Kudo, who we're happy to have here today, as well as all of us who are pretty much dated here, know that Ben Kudo has been a very active community member for number of years in the private sector. We do have communication from Susan Liloy from the Council District 3 on the Big Island in support. Rick Tsujimura from Sanhai Government Strategies. Jesse Suki as well sends communication in support, as well as Karen Piltz, an individual of support. Is there anyone else here who wishes to speak? Yes, I thought I did mention Rich Matsuda and Karen Piltz. Anyone else wishes to speak on this behalf on GM 627? Come forward, please. Thank you. Thanks for your patience as
Thank
well
you.
today.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Chang, and Senator Favela. I'm Gabriel Lee, and I'm a banker and also on the UH Board of Regents, where I'm the first Vice Chair. And as some of you are aware, our chair resigned last night. And personally speaking, I would offer my full support for Ben Kudo for the GM 627. Ben has a lot of knowledge that will benefit the Mauna Kea Authority. He was on the Board of Regents from 2012 to 2021 and was chair 2019 to 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, sorry to hear the resignation of Regent Nahalia, but welcome and our best to you as well. So with that said, so this is the special transfer of this authority as a membership outside of the region. So then it would be that full representation from Ben, just to clear the air for the representing the university, or the Board of Regents member.
Yeah, this one, the chair is able to designate a
okay.
regent or a former regent. And
Right.
if it's a former regent, then the governor also gets involved. That's what GM 627. And so I am, I guess, the chair pro tem.
We appreciate that. And thank you for, the timing was kind of like perfect as well because of the nomination before us today. And so we're happy that as in your capacity as a pro tem chair for the regions, that's acceptable.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes.
appreciate it. Yeah, and members, if you have, since we have the pro tem chair here, feel free, he took the time off to be here as well. Okay, otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, IT, is there anybody there waiting to speak on a GM 627?
No one on Zoom, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll call Mr. Kudo up then. Thank you so much. Aloha. And then we'll also say, you got enough time to, you continue to enjoy just doing some more work on your plate.
Public service work.
Oh, yes, we appreciate
Besides my
that.
regular duties as
Okay,
as an attorney.
introduce yourself again.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Kudo. I'm a private attorney in Honolulu. I specialize in land use planning, zoning, environmental, and administrative law. And I've been doing it for close to 50 years now. I served as Chair Lee mentioned, I served on the Board of Regents for 10 years. And while I was on the Board of Regents, the Mauna Kea situation sort of became front page in 2015 with the beginning of the TMT construction and the access road being blocked by protesters. And I was tasked by the then Chair
But that happened
Sullivan.
in 2019, not 2015.
No,
I thought I-
it started in
But-
2015.
Yeah.
And then it became
The
a larger,
discussions, yes.
larger opposition in 2019.
Yeah, thank you.
So I was involved from 2015 all the way through. What I did was I formed 3 separate permitted interaction groups comprised of regents and others, administrators. And we interviewed all stakeholders of Mauna Kea as part of our study group to determine what the problem at Mauna Kea was. The largest problem was a perception that the university had mismanaged the mountain and its operations for 50 years, which was highlighted by several legislative audits that were issued from the 1980s. The university attempted to correct most of them. However, there were some open items that remained to be addressed. So as the Board of Regents, I drafted the first resolution, which was Resolution 1903. And that resolution listed all the open management issues that we were asking the administration to address. And we are also asking them to give us a time frame. And if they didn't give us a time frame, we put down a time frame for the completion of those items. And that has been kind of the roadmap, so to speak, for the university of all the open items that needed to be completed. And that was passed in about 2019, right at the height of the opposition. And so the university was addressing it, but at the time that we passed it, my personal thought was that it may be too little too late. The momentum and inertia of public sentiment was, I think, too great with regard to the university's mismanagement of the mountain. And so no matter what we did, it wouldn't be enough to turn the tide of public sentiment. As a consequence, the legislature passed Act 255 and formed this authority. And I was privileged enough by Chair Nahalea to be designated, and now by Pro Tem Chair Lee to be the representative of the Board of Regents on the authority.
With that said, though, when you started the process in 2015, I believe, or maybe even 2014, you had the community at that time, which was the Office of Mauna Kea Management, which also became the target of uneasiness. However, during the time that you folks were reviewing it as well, and I remember several meetings that the late Barry Taniguchi started to get involved and very concerned as well. Now, I don't believe Barry wasn't on the region, right? But he became an active member as the community membership that was working with you folks to make sure that things move along with at least part of the situation for creating a new oversight committee.
You're talking about Barry Taniguchi, the KTA.
KTA, Barry
Yeah,
Taniguchi.
he was actually on the Regents, but
He was at-
several years ahead.
Yeah, but then the
before me.
concern that he
Yeah.
had, but then
Yeah.
they create the new center for office of, because of the issue you guys were raising, became a little more involved trying to create a better communication system.
What we did in 2019 was we also instructed via the resolution for the administration to look at the organization, the OMKM organization, and the other entities that operated the mountain. And after the internal auditor came back with his report, it was recommended that the group of organizations and entities be reorganized
Right.
to be more transparent and logical with
Right.
regard to funding and operations and responsibilities, which we did in 2021, I believe. The Board of Regents passed the reorganization of all the entities, and that was when we created the CMS, which is the Center for Mauna Kea Stewardship
That's when
organization,
you
yeah.
folks brought in Greg Chan.
Yeah, we brought
And
in
I
Greg
think
Chan
they-
to
I
hunch
think
that.
they- Actually, they did a good job. I think you folks
Yeah.
started creating, a process
Right.
that everyone would be a little more comfortable with and the best thing to do.
Right.
Okay, questions for Mr. Kudo? Okay. Senator Favela.
Yeah, again, thank you for everything. It's really good to see of course, the experience too, for somebody that looks so young. With the various experience and expertise and experience as attorney, developer, and the chair of the UH Regents, in your opinion, what do you think went wrong with the UH and the stewardship of Mauna Kea?
I think this started decades ago, and it was basically an underappreciation of the Big Island community. And what I mean by that was the astronomy industry there was begun by the Big Island business community. But over the years, what they did not do that was called out for in the comprehensive management plan that governed the management of the mountain that is part of the CDOA permits and blessed by the land board was to do a lot of community engagement. They did not do very much community engagement. And so this dissatisfaction with how that segment of the community of the Big Island was shut out of participating in the care, preservation, and management of the mountain was omitted. And I wasn't there when all of this happened, so I can't explain the why. But I'm just saying that it did happen that way. In fact, I recall one meeting where we had a few regents and a lot of the astronomy people, and then also our managers at OMKM. And the question came up as to why haven't you guys done this? Why haven't you guys done this? It's called out in the auditor's report as a mismanagement issue. It's called out in the CMP. Why haven't you done more community engagement? And they said, oh, we're working on it. And I remember one of our regents actually blew up on that because he said, that's the answer you keep giving everybody for years. We're working on it. He says, that's not sufficient. We have to do this. So there was a growing impatience on the board while I was chair of how slow things were progressing on the mountain. And that's what prompted us to pass the resolution, which gave the administration's instructions on what to do and when to do it. It wasn't something that we wanted to do, but we did it because we wanted to show that we were serious about it. And from that point forward, through the help of the people and the workers at OMKM and Greg Chan, et cetera, when the reorganized entities, progress started to be made on the decommissioning and other things, but more importantly, community engagement. In fact, we sent Greg back to the community when he proposed the reorganization. We said, which entities did you touch bases with? Which agencies and people and groups did you socialize this particular plan with? He mentioned a few, and we said, no, you go back out, you go get some more people. We want comments, and we want to know what those comments are with regard to what we're doing, because this is a total Big Island stakeholder situation, and public input is so important, and that's where we're deficient. We need to address that more. And so we were very proactive in that area.
And he did a good job after
Yeah.
that. I mean, he got the message.
Yeah.
Yes, okay,
Awesome.
all right.
Thank you, and I really wish that things went differently, because you know how everything went just, misunderstood, misunderstanding, and a lot of rumors instead of tumors.
Yeah.
And then we got tumors, you know what I mean? So, appreciate you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions for Mr. Kudo as well? There are several things that's my community. And so I go way back with the development that occurred. And actually, when I came to the Senate in 1998, in the early 2000, Senator, he and I actually drafted a measure, actually a resolution communicating the worrisome and the concerns we had as what you speak of. But that didn't pass because the university at that time fought against our bill and the concerns we had. But I too did have my objections to what was happening as well during that time. And I'm happy that's why for me, I was comfortable when you folks took the initiative and then creating the new entity under Great Chun. So I just wanted to say that, and I was very supportive. Matter of fact, even giving some names to the governor at that time to have good people, on so that they could make choices to be on the commission as well. But having said that, I think we're going to take a vote already. We've made good use of our 2 GMs that was sent down for this committee. Good discussions, because this is, and I did want to keep this with just the 2 on the GMs for confirmation, because these are 2 important, nominees, and great discussions with regards to the Office of Planning, and Ben Kudos, the Oversight Authority as well. So we thank you for your attendance. Appreciate that on this recess day. So Chair's recommendation, members, with regards to the governor's message, 603, and for those on Zoom land, this has to do with the Committee on Water and Land for its Wednesday, March 6th agenda. With regards to the governor's message of 603, the first one is submitting for consideration and confirmation as the Director of the Office of Planning and Sustainable Development. The nominee is Mary Alice Evans for a term to expire December 31st, 2026. Any further discussions?
I just wanted to.
Senator Favela.
I just wanted to say, continue to do the great work. So I was looking over the support. Usually you get at least one enough support, and I didn't find one. So congratulations to both of you guys. I looked at both of you guys, but thank you guys for your guys' service and continue the good work.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, if not, Chair's recommendation is to advise and consent then on GM 603. Vice Chair for the vote, Chair goes aye.
Okay, Chair's recommendations to advise and consent on GM 603. Chair votes aye. Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang.
Aye.
Senator McKelvey is excused. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Madam Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you so much. The next is Governor's Message 627, and this is submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority, the nominee Benjamin Kudo for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Any further discussion? Yes, Senator Elefante.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just a positive comment. I want to thank Mr. Kudo and the nominee for reaching out. He is very knowledgeable, has a lot of context to the situation up on Mauna Kea, and I really appreciate him for continuing to serve and step up. So I support your recommendation, Chair.
Okay, thank you so much. With
Sure.
that said, Senator Favela.
I echo my colleague over here. I learned a lot just in this little hearing and when I got to talk to you briefly and read up on all of that. So thank you. Thank you for serving and thank you for educating us so that we can educate our community. Thank you. God bless.
Okay, with that said then, Chair's recommendation on GM 627 is to advise and consent to the nominee Benjamin Kudo. Any further discussions? Hearing none. Vice Chair for the vote. Chair goes aye.
Okay. Chair's recommendation is to advise and consent on GM 627 of the 4 members present on Water and Land, noting the excusal of Senator McKelvey. Any no votes or votes with reservations? Hearing none, Madam Chair, recommendation is adopted.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations to both of you. And, then this concludes the Committee on Water and Land on its agenda of March 6th. Thank you so much.